Hello, digital card fighters. This is Kyle D, better known as Ride My Avatar, bringing you another interesting video today. You know, I did some tier lists in the past, and they get weird receptions, and I get it. You guys call me a hack or, you know, someone that doesn't know shit. Well, today I'm going to bring you my personal tier list. Of course, you know, that all comes down to boiling on everybody's edge, right? So here's another video that everyone loves to throw around the time once everything's out, and you know what, it's content. So without further ado, remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you like the list. Let me know what you hate about it, what you change. So without further ado, let's get into it. So I made it. I will be posting this in the video down below. I don't know why it's so small. There we go. That's better. So, without further ado, let's get into it. First off, let's go over. We have Battle Sisters. As much as this deck was really good for a little bit, it definitely was thought around as being one of the better decks. You hear about it real quick. You know everybody loves Battle Sisters. You love nuns with guns, firing them off, shooting, you know what? The deck did really well in the beginning when it first came out, but then it fell off. I would have, in easier time when Battle Sister was out, I would have gave it a 1.5, definitely, but it has no advantage whatsoever to be able to apply a win con outside of Silent Tom. Battle Sisters do a lot of damage, but they don't draw enough or do research other side of Bermuda, other than OTT would do. So I'm gonna drop it down to 3 for right now. Other cards might bump it up, but let's go over. We have Beast Deities. I'm sorry, the deck doesn't even hold its own in the tier 2 category. It falls down. It is definitely a tier 3. Next, we have Raiji. Used to be, probably in my opinion, definitely a 1.5, maybe a 2. But now with all the decks having their, being able to just doesn't care that you keep them at 2 or 3, just for swinging at lethal, Raiji kind of just falls down to the, I'm going to say, back end of tier 2. And we're going to just move you to the back. Next, we're going to talk about Ezell. Platinum Ezell came out interestingly. It has this multitude of decks that it can do, and I'm very impressed with it. The fact is, it can carry wins on its own. You don't really need Platinum for the deck. He is a great card, but Gold's just got so much support with the fact of the spirits and everything. It is definitely a tier 1 deck, and I would not be surprised at that. Next is Chrome Jailer variants. So I'm going to bundle this into Shadows and the Gold version. They kind of both sit at idly together as this 1.5 deck that can just do a lot of stuff, like being able to pretty much free call, gain a crit for sacrificing units that you're just going to call later. None of it is bad. It's all really good, and I gotta say the deck works phenomenally well done and everything like that. So I definitely think it's a 1.5 deck. It's like better than a tier 2, not tier 1 status, but it's definitely a 1.5. Next is Great Nature. Great Nature could still cheese out wins, especially with Polaris and everything like that. You kind of get this feel that multi-attacking is just so beneficial in this game. Being able to get 2 guaranteed hits on your opponent is just so beneficial. And getting up to 3 is why certain decks just get better in this game. So you just got to take it with a grain of salt. But I definitely think it is a tier 2 deck. Better than Raiji, for sure. Definitely, I think it's high tier 2 and wouldn't change much. Let's talk about Angel Feathers. With this current meta, you're not seeing much Angel Feathers. Angel Feathers kind of just, they're really good. I would love to say they're in the 3 range, and I'm really going to say they're in the 3 range right now, just because that's where they deserve. I'm going to say low end 3, close to 4. It just, I'm sorry, Angel Feather players, but the deck just doesn't do enough in its current format. It literally every deck just looks at it and just laughs and goes like, yeah, this is my house, kicks it to the ground, and then just does the whole Jotaro meme scene where they just start ganging up on the poor guy and just start kicking into him and everything like that. That's just, you know, just how that goes. Next we have Dungaree Unlimited. Definitely one of the best decks, I'm gonna say, because of the fact is, you know, he's factually just so much better than most decks. Unlimited gains a crit for and sniping 1, guarantees at least 2 attacks in a turn, and just does so much for so little. And paired to its sister, the Blood, it's just better resource management and less cost just to do everything you need to do, and just gets so beefy and powerful that sometimes just the numbers alone just can win you the game. Next, I want to talk about Spike Brothers. Spike Brothers used to be a tier 1 deck in my opinion. Used to be. It definitely has fallen down because of the fact is most decks have retirement, and with the ability of retiring in this game, like I've said before, multi-attacking is just so important. I mean, sometimes, yes, Spike Brothers can definitely clear out boards, but the problem is once their board starts getting cleared and they're just being lethally attacked each turn, Spike Brothers starts losing momentum. But with their next round of support, with all the new stuff coming out next month, that deck will jump back up to tier 1, but it's definitely low end tier 5, 1.5, like midway, I would say, for right now. Next we have Tachikaze. Sadly, they had so much promise. There's just so much it's missing. It needs its second round of support. Ancient Dragons definitely brings it up to a tier 1.5, but right now Tachikaze is definitely tying with Angel Feathers right now. They just can't. They can get a win out of luck, but outside of that, they just don't have the momentum to finish games, and that's their biggest issue. And I'm sorry, Tachis. I want to give you the credit for being a Dino clan that just struggles so hard in Zero, but you know what? You'll get your time to shine once Ancient Dragons come in, and you're 3 months out. So, see you in January. Next we have the Blood. Blood and Dungaree Unlimited kind of go neck to neck. They both do a lot, but the problem is, like, you're focusing on Vermilion in either playstyle. There is your backup. But the fact is, Unlimited just does what the Blood with cost does. But definitely, I'm going to say 1.5. It is definitely a really good deck, and I would not suggest otherwise. This deck just does not falter. It's just really powerful, really strong. Can definitely win a lot of games if your opponent isn't prepared, and knowing how to play around your weaknesses, especially since he's a counterblast 3. It's just phenomenal, guys. Like, I played it enough. I know where it stands. It's got its weaknesses, but it also can hold very well. Next, we're going to talk about Tsukiomi. I've never seen an event where I haven't seen people just do Silent Tom Tsukiomi. If you're really good at memorizing the stack, boom, there you go. This is the deck for you completely. There is nothing about this deck. You definitely could put it in 1.5, but I'm going to bring it down to tier 2 because that's where it's going to stay. I think great manipulation, it definitely can be a really good deck, but problem comes down to knowing that it's knowing your stack, knowing what's going on in the whole game, and knowing how you're going to progress is the big thing. Next, we have the newest CEO, Atamarasu, joined the crowd. The problem is, I want to say it can be better than Tsukiomi, but the problem is it's all set up and just nothing to fire behind it. So the fact is, it just falls behind in itself. So I'm going to say it's on par. Like, these two are both neck and neck with each other. You could swap them either in and out for it. Next, we have Great Dayusha. Oh, the D-Police people are going to hate me, but the fact is, Great Dayusha does really good. I think he's low tier 2, but he's also tier 3 in the sense. He's gains his crit, but there's just nothing he can do to clear the board. He would be so good if he could clear board or break shields or something like that. But again, the problem is a PG is still your greatest enemy. You can have the power and crit behind you all day long, but again, it's an MLB deck, but a fair MLB deck. And that's the problem with some of this stuff, is that they're fair. Next, we have Granblue. I'm sorry, you just fall to the abyss. And tier 4. You guys just can't do anything at the moment. And I feel bad because you guys need 7 Cs. You need a finisher that's just overpowered. Until you guys get that, your guys are going to just stay in 4. Hopefully, the next round of support just pushes you there. You really deserve a time to shine. You guys can do a defensive wall, and that's great. So can golds, but golds can finish and get you there. So that's like your biggest issue. Next, let's talk about the newest clan, Mega Colony. Mega Colony is definitely, if you know what you're doing, it can definitely push against the higher ups, but it still has its issues and its downfalls. So I think I'm going to put it closer to the end. Raiji's going to start moving down at this point because of the fact is, I think it's a tier 2 deck. It definitely tier 3. But again, it's got promise. I'm going to say, because again, multi-attacking and everything, like, well, calling out board pieces from Soul can just sometimes just add in a flavor. Next, let's talk about the most resilient deck in the format that just seems to never want to just disappear off the freaking face of the earth, MLB. I still see him in ladder. Surprisingly, I'm going to put him at 1.5 because the fact is you see him everywhere. You don't matter. You're 95% in a tournament, you'll see an MLB player, and they'll still do good because of the fact is you guys got spirits, you got everything you wanted. There's no limitation this deck holds. And being able to search everything out, and then with rule changes coming in, this deck will still get better. Next, let's talk about Risers. I know Risers have fallen the face of the earth, but I still see them from time to time. Risers just do so much, does MLB things, but as fair. And the problem is, though, they just don't have what it takes to still compete in this format. Next, let's talk about Shadow Paladins. You see them a lot still. Recently, they definitely started showing up, and I think they definitely deserve a tier 1 slot. The deck got so much support in like Duke variants and everything like that, but Shadows just do so well in this format because being able to still have the cross ride numbers, do everything earlier than limit break, and just constantly pressure your opponent. Just ridiculous. And sometimes you just splash Chain Duke into it, and it's just what you want to talk about. Having this as the Shadow Paladin focus is just so good. Being able to hit your spirits and retire is just what the deck needs to do. And I'm not joking, this deck does crazy things and still will hold its own. Next, let's talk about the Overlord, the End. End, I'm sorry, boy. You've fallen down hardcore. You started tanking once the fact is you just can't get there sometimes. You might not have all the retirement pieces. You might not be able to hit. You're so heavy on the counterblast, but once Dauntless comes out, you just do everything. Everything this deck ever wanted. Next, let's talk about Shangri-La Coral. Coral is beautiful because, you know, legs day. It's got draw advantage, but that's about it. There's no game finisher. You definitely use like Pacificas and stuff like that, but again, there's just no game finisher. It's kind of like right here in 3. It just wants to do better, but it just can't. It struggles. It just needs something, and hopefully the next round of support from Bermuda's can just do that. The game really punishes the Bermuda's playstyle because again, we were a bounce mechanic that just can't do anything anymore because we had no guard value. Like, we were a bounce mechanic that just returned cards to our hand, and we just don't have it. Let's talk about Lukier, Pale Moon. It's definitely a tier 2 deck. It is better than Raiji, and still definitely does a lot of crazy things, because again, Dreamy Fortress, or even just going Beast Tamer and stuff like that with Lukier, you can just do nutty things and be able to do stuff. Being able to have a wall in Dreamy Fortress is just really good. There's not many decks that can just PG a turn and then just you have this turn where you can proceed and just whack your opponent out, right? That's sometimes all you just need. Next, let's talk about the boy, our Spectral Duke. Spectral Duke got hurt a lot, sadly. It is top of tier 2. The fact of the matter is, because of the fact is, we have now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decks that literally just get cross-ride numbers, and then you're like, well, I didn't hit this and I didn't get a trigger, so I'm gonna restand and attempt to swing again. Not the best strategy, but it can still win you games, so I'm not gonna count it down and out just yet. So this is what I think. He's still top tier 2. I think he's a little bit better. He kind of competes, especially since he gained Chain Jailer. So that's how that goes. Next, let's talk about Blouse. Blouse now are tier 4. But give it time and you're going to see this. You're going to see Blouse here. That'll be probably next set with Ethic Buster, but that's just how Blouse are going to be. Next is we got our boy, my boy. Oh, glorious day. Yeah, tier 1 top mid, knocks down most decks because it's now got the game finisher. Aqua Force was strong last set. I mean, when its set came out, and then the end came. Glory came out, and you're like, something they didn't need, but they got. Like, Glory just being a Tom on top of it, just sometimes just punishes your opponent. Just straight up punish. Just for the sake of punish. And let's talk about the last card. Our last card is our Neo Nectars. Neo Nectars, I love them. They just struggle so hard right now. They fall into a tier 3 category because of the fact is they can hit the numbers, they can multi-attack, but there's just so much retire in this format right now that they just can't do what Golds used to do. They're struggling to get by, to survive, and it hurts me to see them drop, and they're gonna stay like that for a while now, just because we're getting more and more retirement, and Neo Nectars just can't handle it. They struggle to retirement, and that's how that's going to be. So guys, remember to like, comment, and subscribe on this video, and I really appreciate your time and effort. Hopefully this tier list makes you guys think, and maybe you guys enjoyed it. Maybe we'll talk more, but I'll catch you in the next one. Peace!